You are now listening to Between Us Girls, the podcast, where we discuss life's fuckeries and then some over wine.
Hey, welcome to our show. This is Michelle,
Danielle.
and this is
Between Us Girls.
And you can always find us on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Spreaker,
Stitcher.
Pippa,
Yeah.
your mama, your daddy's house, etc., etc.
Anywhere you can find a podcast.
Yeah, anywhere you can find podcasts. Apple Podcasts, I think that's probably where we get like the majority of our clicks from. If you're listening in Finland, as usual, Between Us Girls. Thank you. Danielle, do we want these people's money or?
Yeah, if you want to support our lovely show, head on over to patreon.com/Between Us Girls and drop your girls a few dimes. Help us
Make
create.
it rain. Make it rain. Okay, I'm done.
You're done?
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Look, and I just want to put a disclaimer out there. I'm probably going to be completely ridiculous. Danielle or I are doing the super keto diet, so we're like, what is food? We don't eat carbs.
Right.
But we have like a really, really, really special guest today, and you guys, I am totally bajiggity. If anybody saw that movie, what was it with Christina Applegate and what's her name? The other girl, Cameron Diaz. What was it called?
I have no idea what you're talking
Anyway, they said that. They were like, oh my God, I'm going crazy. I'm totally bajiggity. That's how I feel. We have a really amazing guest. I'm not sure if you guys know this, but a couple years ago, there was a show called Crossing Over with John Edward, and it came on Sci-Fi, and I watched it every time it came on. And John Edward, is coming to Houston July 21st. He's going to be at the Hyatt Regency North. That's on Sam Houston Parkway. And if you want tickets, you can either listen into our show and totally follow us all over our social media because we might have a special surprise for you. Or you can go to johnedward.net and etix.com. He has a brand new show coming out on Facebook. A lot of his shows are already sold out, so if I were you, I would definitely go and try to pick up tickets. None other than the psychic, John Edward. Hello, John.
Hello, what an introduction. Thank you so much for having me.
You are so welcome. I honestly can't even believe it. I've been telling everybody at work, I'm like, you remember that show? Yeah, he's totally coming on our show. I am like, I'm already a celebrity, so.
She's super, super duper excited. Like, not even funny.
I have like
that's,
permanent smile.
That's really cool.
Permanent smile and little blush face. I'm like, oh my God.
So you're completely making her day right now.
Yeah, making my life. Like,
Wow.
This is what Between Us Girls is all about, y'all. Just kidding. Okay. All right. So we do have a interview for John. John, are you ready for this super serious interview?
I am. I'm so prepared right now. You have no idea.
Okay. First question. What is your astrological sign so we can properly stereotype you?
I am a Libra.
Oh, my goodness. My son is a Libra.
Fair and balanced.
Best sign of the zodiac.
Lies being
okay.
told.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, okay. The most unstable, but okay.
Hey now.
Okay, so considering that you deal with so many people and energies, how do you wind down after a full day of readings?
So the same way that I actually open up to do readings, it's like meditation and visualization and prayer work for me. That's the same thing I do to kind of shut it off or kind of turn it down, because you can't go through life open all the time trying to do readings. You have to kind of have a time and place and a schedule. So for me, it's like working out. There's a time and place for it. You know, you're not like running through the supermarket. You're not doing push-ups in the aisles. You're not doing stuff that is kind of out of the norm. So for me, I have a time and place, and I prepare for it. So the way you would, stretch before a workout, my meditation and prayer my visualization is to protect my energy and allow me to actually open up.
Okay. So is that what has helped you keep a good work-life balance, like with your own marriage, throughout all the fame and attention you've received, like from me included? Like, is that what keeps you going, your prayer and meditation?
Well, I think it does. I think your belief system is kind of what creates your reality. So you kind of put that out there. But like, you'd have to meet my wife. Like, she's pretty like this is a classic Sandra example. When Crossing Over was on the air, it was on at 11 o'clock at night. And we were like up watching it. And there was in the middle of one of the episodes where the information that came through was so off the hook, crazy, ridiculous, specific, and the people's reaction were like crazy. And I like looked at her and I went, it's kind of cool, right? And she looked at me straight faced and was like, are you kidding me right now? She goes, they gave you a show. You best be getting stuff like that. And you better be getting it every single day. Like, she's like, what do you want me to do? Like, slap you on the back because you got somebody's name? She's like, yeah, I don't think so. So, yeah,
she's
it's
like,
been
you
like
should be
that
humble
for like
because
ever.
you should know.
So, yeah, I think meditation, prayer, and somebody who's like, yeah, I don't really care. Like, take the garbage out. Like, that kind of mentality, it keeps it real.
To bring you back down to
Yeah.
reality.
She definitely keeps you humble. That's really cool. So
Well, you know what? And it's the same way. Like, she comes out of a dance background. She was a competitive ballroom dancer. She owned a dance studio. And I remember standing on the sidelines of watching her compete, and she came off the floor, and I was like, oh, my God, that was amazing. And she looked at me, and she said, thank you. And I go, no, seriously, that was amazing. And she looked at me, and she goes, it should be amazing. I've been dancing since I'm 3.
Whoa,
Like,
what is her sign?
She's a Leo.
Oh, Lord.
Explains everything.
She's a Leo, and she's a full-on Leo. Like, and if you know the Leo, they travel in prides. So
That is so interesting. So you've been in the entertainment industry for like over 3 decades.
well, I don't know if I'd call it an entertainment. I like to look at it as education, and I think the what you would consider entertainment part of it happened about 20 years ago, 25 years ago. I'm getting old.
So
Yeah.
you almost went to Vegas, almost. So like,
Vegas.
but what is it like navigating, in Hollywood as a psychic medium? Because like your talent is so much kind of different than like getting on a movie or TV show. Like what you do is like kind of niche.
Well, I think some people do what they do to become like known or famous, and then some people, as a byproduct of doing what they do and hopefully doing it well, become known for it. So like, here's the example in my household. My daughter's an actress. She's on a TV show called Better Things, and she's been on other shows. She's been on commercials. Like, this is her thing. Like, that's her path. And one day when she did a commercial, she said to me, I really want to hear my commercial on the radio. And I said, can I ask you why? And she's like, I don't know. Now, I already knew the answer, but I wanted her to say it. So she's like, I don't know. I said, well, were you there when you taped it? And she goes, yeah. I go, did they change it? And she said, no. I go, did you hear it then? And she goes, yeah. I said, so what's the difference between hearing it like on your phone and then hearing it on the radio? And she's like, I don't know, because it would mean like I'm famous. So I laughed and I said, I'm never going to let you be famous. And she said, well, why not? I said, because fame is fleeting. You can have it and you can lose it. I said, but if you're accomplished, that stays with you forever. Right. So my goal was to always be accomplished in what I do. So I never saw it as being entertainment. I saw it as being accomplished and being known for doing something.
That's really amazing. How old is she?
She is 11.
Okay, so she's almost a teenager. So when you were a teenager, your mom had a party, right? And she had a psychic give some readings. And then the psychic told you that her reason for being there was to meet you and set you on your path. And
somebody did their research.
Yeah. Danielle. She was like, girl, you got to ask this. So if you could go back to that moment, what piece of advice would you give to yourself to make your development easier?
Don't be an arrogant ass.
Were you one?
Oh my God. I was an obnoxious 15-year-old guy that sat in front of Lydia Clark. And I had this like, you better wow me, shock me. You better pull something out that's going to really impress me. Like that kind of energy. Because I was determined not to do what I felt other people in my family and friends of the family who had gone before me did, which was help her. Like, they clearly had to help her, or she fed off of what they gave her. So I went in there, like, with an attitude like you can't imagine, she wasn't going to be able to read me, and she wasn't going to be able to get any help from me. And even with that, she like rocked my world.
I was about to say that she still read you though.
Oh yeah, she read me, and like really read me, like
Yeah.
to the point where, you know, when someone's got like a quiet confidence and like they don't have to try, they just are. Well, she just was. She still is. And she literally like looked at me that day, and I remember she like lifted up her eyebrow, and she had that look like I'm gonna own you now, and she did. And it was pretty amazing. But that's what I would tell me. I would tell myself, relax and listen. Just
Okay.
relax and listen to what she has to say.
I would have never pegged you for being arrogant just because of like all the stuff that I've read about you. Like you just seem like very down to earth. Like did that
Thank you.
gradually change?
I try to. I mean, I try to be as like normal and as possible. And but I have to say, I was 15. So like when you're 15 years old and you're going through puberty and you're becoming, you're going from the boy into the man. And I wasn't close to my dad, so I already had that, like I had to be the man of the house type of kind of energy. I wanted to protect my mom and my grandmother from this wacko woman who was doing readings. Like I had that kind of vibe. Like I'm gonna school them. Like I'm gonna show them that they're wrong, and that was where I was coming from. So yeah, I would say it was cocky. I would say it was arrogant, and I would say I got humbled real quick.
You know, John, I feel like that's what happens when you have a testosterone overload. You just become so crazy. You're like, all I can see is what I see, So I have one last question, and then we'll jump into our panel discussion.
Sure.
Okay, so are people born with psychic or medium abilities, or
Yes.
can anybody be taught?
Yes.
So I want to ask this. So this was our topic question, which ties into that question. If you feel like your spouse or significant other is cheating, and you find out that they are, does that now make you a psychic? Or what resources do you think, or what path to development should people be tapping into? Like, let's say I'm like, you know what? I already knew it. I already knew that you were talking to another woman. Am I now a psychic, or should I be like, okay, let me take my intuitiveness over to, like, our friend Fernie? He has some psychic classes. So, like, should I take it there? Should I learn how to tap into my psychic ability? Because I surely have the ability.
I think
that was so
I think
loaded.
I think it's a human ability, not so much a psychic or an intuitive ability. And when you're talking about relationship dynamics in a serious way, like I feel like when somebody has that feeling, if it's not coming from their own insecurity and paranoia because of their past or their upbringing and what brought them to that point, or some maybe astrological aspect that's making them feel insecure, if there's really something that's going on, it's because energetically, when you're with someone, you build up a bridge, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and especially physically if you're having sex with a person. There's an energetic exchange. And when you have that energetic exchange, if you kind of feel like, oh, wait, there's somebody else in the pool here, like this feels weird, that's what's creating that. So is that intuitive? Sure. Is it natural and instinctual? Yeah, I think that's human. If you're like completely not thinking about someone, and then all of a sudden you get this flash that this person's involved with somebody else, and you're not invested in that, and it's external, that type of information I would lend it to being more psychic. But in either case, I think it's important to live your life intuitively because it gives you an edge. It gives you an opportunity to recognize what's happening, what's coming up for you, how to handle situations, and what to learn from it.
Okay, I have a question.
Okay.
So I was in a relationship at one time, and we broke up.
Okay.
It was kind of out of nowhere for me, but I had a dream, and this girl showed up. Like, we were at the gym, right? And this girl showed up, and she was like, yeah, I'm the one that he's been sexing. And sure enough, there was a girl with the same hair color, same attitude that was sleeping with him.
Yeah, that's psychic.
I knew it!
No, that is what you call a precognitive dream.
Nigga, so psychic.
Yeah, that is a precognitive dream.
So can
It's
I
when
go to the show?
Can you do what?
Can I meet you at the show? Can I go?
To watch, you can. Yeah,
Oh, John, but you just told me I was psychic.
sure. Well, everybody's psychic. But there's a difference.
See,
There's a
everybody's
difference
psychic.
between having a dream and then like doing readings for folks. Like,
I
and I tell
know.
people all the time, it's like you could be a really good cook at home. That doesn't mean you should open a restaurant.
Ooh, shade. Okay, but I have a question about your show, though. Okay, so remember, I'm like a super fan. So I
Okay.
used to watch at 11 o'clock at night. I used to watch
Okay.
Crossing Over. And I would always wonder how you chose who to talk to. Like, was that spirit just the most strong one there?
Mm-hmm.
Or was it like, you know what, you're jumping up and down, you're kind of cool, I'm going to pick you, let's see if we can find your person. Like, how did that
No,
work?
it's the same way as it is in like my live events. So one of the things that I was very involved with the design of the set. I was very involved with every aspect of the show because they wanted to recreate what my actual environment felt like. So it was like a sociological, anthropological, like I was a zoo animal kind of a thing. Like they would come and watch my work, and then they would be like, okay, how do you get your feelings? Like, how do you know where you're going? And I go, well, I get a pull. So if you were to put your hand, like on in between your ribs, like right in your sternum area, I get a pull from there to the direction. So from my heart chakra, like in my heart center, from my chest, I get a pull to the section of the room. The bigger the room, like the bigger the room or the bigger the group, the more accurate my pull is. The smaller the room, the more difficult it is for me to actually feel that. It's a weird,
Really?
it's a weird thing.
I
But
see how
it's the
that
same
could
thing.
work.
I just get a pull and I just go. So that's how people were read.
Okay.
So is it like, okay, one, are they speaking English? Like, like if you get somebody that's like Spanish or French, or are they speaking your language, or is it more like a feeling?
Or
Like,
is it
It's-
symbols? What is it?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a three-part process for me. So I'm clairvoyant, clairaudient, and clairsentient. So clairvoyance people are familiar with, but that really translates to meaning clear seeing. So clairvoyance is when you see energy, clairaudience is when you hear, and clairsentience is when you feel, like that gut instinct. So I have a three-part process that's kind of happening and being downloaded at the same time. And what I'm doing is I'm not hearing out loud voices. They're like thoughts. So I'm hearing thoughts. They're not coming through in a voice. They're coming through in a thought voice. And then whatever I see, hear, and feel, I interpret. And it is symbolic. It's like psychic charades or Pictionary where I have to figure out what it is that they want me to say. So if somebody speaks a different language, the only place that I have a problem with is if their names are not something I'm familiar with, and I have to go by like what it would sound like. And if there's a cultural reference that is not anything that I can understand, I will still be able to get the information. I just might interpret it incorrectly for their culture.
right.
Okay, that makes sense.
Now, going back to when we were talking about intuitiveness and the energy intertwining, or I forgot how you said that. Was that more like a soul tie?
What do you mean, like when you're having a relationship with somebody?
Yeah.
Right.
I think that when you are involved with someone, like and there's different degrees. Like if you have somebody that you've had, like, you know, I believe in reincarnation, and I believe that we come back here, and I believe that we've had multiple lives with people. So if you've had a stronger connection with someone in a past life, let's use movies again as an example. If you take actors that have been in multiple movies together, and you put those actors together on a talk show, those two actors are going to have a rapport that are better than if you brought another actor in, because they've just got a built-in relationship. They've got a built-in connection. So when you're involved with someone and you've had a soul connection with them, yeah, there are you know, braided energies in some way that get like linked between people, and it's important to be able to recognize how we're connected. I wrote a book called Infinite Quest, and in it I talk about development and how people can develop their abilities. And I got to, you know, the part where I said to people, if you have, you know, two people that were involved for years in a relationship that was monogamous and committed, and then all of a sudden they break up and they move on. Well, one person is now engaged to somebody else and they're getting ready to start their new life, but their partner is not. And every time that partner thinks about them in an emotional, mental, or physical way, it could actually yank on their energy and make them confused. So it takes time for people to have to like and really work on letting go of the emotional, mental, spiritual, physical / sexual connection, and not to go revisit what those moments were because it just kind of reinforces that connection. So you have to reprogram your brain to kind of shut that door and seal it off so you don't go back into it.
Okay, let me ask you this. So, like, what do you do if a man and a woman, like, let's say they got reincarnated or whatever, like, in the past life, they were, like, together or whatever.
Right.
What do they do if they meet again in their next life and, you know, one person is attached or the other person isn't attached and they feel the strong connection?
Well, that's actually saying that they're going to come back to be in a love relationship again. A lot of times when people come back, the relationship dynamic isn't exactly the same. So maybe they'll come back as siblings. They might come back as parent and child. They might come back as, you know, friends or cousins. They might come back in different age categories. So generationally, they'll be in a different spot. It doesn't mean that it's going to be the romantic human kind of movie story that people would think that they would have.
Okay.
Dr. Brian Weiss is probably the foremost researcher when it comes to past life regression therapy and reincarnation. And he wrote multiple books, but his breakthrough book was Many Lives, Many Masters.
I read that
And,
book.
Yeah, I always kind
would.
of guide people to
It's
him.
good. It's so good.
That's why you have cats, or you used to be a cat or whatever.
No, I hate cats.
Okay.
That's what it is.
Fernie said you liked them cats.
No, he said I was buried with cats.
Oh.
He said in one life I was buried, a cat was buried with me, and that's why I don't like cats.
That is hilarious. Like, why would you get buried with a cat if you don't care about it?
I don't,
You care
I don't
about it.
remember. I don't know.
You know what? I think I'm going to get buried with you this life.
No, I think that he was saying that like in Egyptian
Am
area
I the cat?
time, maybe. Like I think he said that people were buried with their animals.
Oh, yeah.
But I never liked the animals. And I didn't want to be buried with it. I think that's what he said. I
But
can't
Danielle,
remember.
that's you now. Like, you're like, I like y'all, but only from a distance, and I still want you to come and purr by me. She still wants us to come to her, but then she wants to be like, go away. So I think it's the same.
Maybe. Perhaps.
This was really great. Thank you, John.
Well, thank you. Thank you guys for having. Well, I really appreciate it. Thank you.
I still have my 17-year-old nerd crush.
Aw.
I'm like, oh my God, John Edward is so incredible.
That's really sweet.
So let me ask you your thoughts on Miss Cleo before we go.
Oh my God.
Oh, that's so funny you should bring her up. I brought her up for the first time ever today.
You see, I'm
You'd be very-
psychic. You
You
psychic.
really are being psychic. That's so
I'm
funny.
psychic as fuck. I'm sorry, I am. So when I come to the show and I say, John, just bring me up on stage.
No, we have security for that. That's not,
You're going to see me, though. Don't worry about it. I'm going to
you
wear
be
a
like
shirt.
a ninja?
I'm going to wear a shirt that says, remember I told you I was going to be here.
So what about Miss Cleo? Go ahead.
I just want to know what your thoughts are on her overall. Like, do you think she was
I
a
don't know.
fraud?
I don't know her. I don't know anything about her. But I will tell you this: I am not a fan of like the subject matter being commercialized in a cheesy way. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not a fan. So I don't believe the whole "call me now" thing. And
Call
when you
me
have,
now for a free reading.
yeah, I kind of feel like when you have this ability and you're doing this, like you develop a following and people come to you because you put your passion into what you do, and you don't have to go on a 1-900 line. Like I can't imagine all these like talented people are sitting at home waiting for you to call them. You know what I'm saying? Like that,
Right.
it's just not how I want to see. Like I wouldn't want somebody to pick a surgeon by calling like 1-900 dial a doc.
Right.
Like and back then it wasn't like today where you have the internet where there are like it's normal to connect with people the way we're connecting. Back then it was just plain old like a money grab. And
Yeah.
it was I just not a
And
fan.
like USA Up All Night and like commercials like call me now for a free reading. Yeah.
Right, and you know what? And I don't know. Maybe she was intuitive, or maybe she knew some stuff. But I don't know. I think stuff like that made the subject matter look cheesy.
It did because for a long time I think people associated people who have psychic ability and intuitiveness with call me now for a free reading because they still do.
It invalidated it. Is what
Right.
it did
It
because
makes
people didn't take it seriously because it's like, oh, she's a joke and she's just
Right.
taking people's money.
And
Right.
we heard that she was actually somebody who had ability, but they preyed on that, and she was like, "Okay, I need the money."
kind of
But
just
she ended
sold
up
out.
dying in like a hut somewhere, like a little homeless people's town.
Well,
Like
see, this is
something
what I
real
tell
sad.
people. I tell people all the time that when you walk the path of energy for real, like they don't realize that once you walk through that door and you start like, doing this work or working in this field, you are working with some serious like energy, and that energy has to go somewhere. So if you're not working and coming at it from a balanced place, then that imbalance could actually hit you. There's a boomerang effect, like a karmic boomerang effect. So whatever intentions you put out there, you want to make sure that they're balanced. And I have seen so many people over the 34 years now that I'm doing this, that from an ego standpoint, they have a rise and then they have a fall and go away. Like legitimately. Like they're the hot commodity, and then it's like, who were they? They're the hot
Right.
commodity, and then who were they? And it's like, to me, I'd rather, like I said at the beginning, I'd rather be accomplished and have somebody say, I appreciated what you did 20 years ago. I appreciate what you're doing now.
So if you are a psychic or a person with psychic abilities, put down the drugs and take your bipolar medication, because if you're going to tap into the realness, you can't be all over the place.
Well, I want to know, like, so how do you safely and consciously develop your intuitive skills?
Well, I tell people, like, I'll use an example. Like, I just was away with my son, and he went into the ocean, and I said to him, I want you to stay between here and that buoy. And he goes, okay. Now, this was an energetic exercise. I knew that he was not going to be able to stay exactly where I asked him to stay. So when he came out of the water, I said, what did I tell you? And he goes, you told me to stay between here and there. He goes, but it was really hard. The current was really strong, and I kept getting pushed over. And I looked over, and like I was down the beach, and I was like, exactly. I said, I want you to understand that energy in real life is just like that ocean. It's something that's got a current, and if you're not paying attention, it's going to push you.
Ooh, and
But if
take you fast.
And if you are paying attention, then you could ride that wave back to shore, and you could use it, and you could understand it. So you have to always respect it. And I said, when you walked into the water, did you walk in nervous? And he said, no, I'm a good swimmer. I said, so you didn't have any nerves whatsoever when you walked into the water? And he goes, not really. He goes, maybe a shark would come. I was like, okay. I go, so that's the first problem. I go, anytime you walk into an ocean or any type of body of water, you need to respect that element. You need to respect that water, because that water is not your friend, and that water can do damage. So you need to be respectful of what could happen. And once you have that understanding, once you have the awareness of be respectful of what could happen, then you kind of keep that at its distance, because you're treating it with the respect that it deserves. And that's what I feel about this field. Like when somebody's getting involved, they have to treat the energy with respect. They have to understand that there's no dabbling with this. Whenever somebody says, I'm dabbling in this, it makes me uncomfortable. It's like, would you dabble with a loaded gun? I wouldn't dabble with a loaded gun, especially if I don't know how it works. So for me, I think it's really important to treat the energy that you're dealing with, especially when you're walking through that doors. You treat it with respect.
So, like, in practical terms, though, like, what kind of exercises would somebody
Somebody
be
else say,
doing?
but you didn't ask my question for real.
No, because I'm
So
just
from
like,
from an exercise standpoint,
Yeah.
so I gave you the philosophy. From an exercise standpoint, you have to meditate, which is that you have to actually stretch your mind. You have to calm your physical body, meditation and prayer. You have to work with your chakras, the 7 energy centers in your body, to be able to keep them open. And I'm a huge proponent of psychic self-defense, which is creating energetic and dimensional awareness of protection to prophylactically protect the energy that your own space, and creating healthy boundaries. So that's pretty much what I would tell people in any training session. Create boundaries, respect the energy, meditate and pray, keep your chakras open, and to be aware of other people's energies, and to make sure that you have healthy boundaries with them. That if someone's not in a good space, or somebody, whatever, you keep them out of your pool.
Yeah.
And I always tell people, you don't let people pee in your pool.
You know what? So I heard what you said. It sounded like you told us to put a condom around our
I did. I was
energy.
waiting for it. I was waiting for it. I was like, she's gonna say, you gotta wear a condom. Yep,
prophylactic.
you gotta wear the energy condom.
So if I feel like, because I'm psychic anyway. So if I feel like a person is being negative, or they have some kind of negative vibe going around, and I just say, you know what, I'm going to separate myself from them, I'm not wrong, because I feel
You're
like you're
not.
tainting my clear conscience. I can't read everyone like I'd be
No,
reading
I
people.
suggest people just kind of like just
Shut up,
step
Naya.
back, just like step back from the energy.
Okay, just
let them
step away.
let them do them, but
Oh,
that doesn't mean
okay.
that you have to allow them to do that around you.
Right. Okay. I hear you. See, I knew John was down.
Judd is down.
I knew John was down. Okay, John.
I-
So okay. So I feel like you need to like just shout yourself out and like what you're gonna do here when you come to H Town. Are you gonna bring 30 million in revenue like the AKAs? Are you gonna do it?
I'll bring that in energy.
Okay, yes. Bring the energy, baby. Bring it. So what are you going to do? You're going to come down on July 21st, right?
I am. It's my mom's birthday.
Oh, happy birthday, Cancer. Don't cry.
Yep.
So
My
what
Oh,
mom's
can
birthday.
what can people expect when they come to your show?
So the format, I mean, it's loose because I never know what's going to happen when I get there, when the actually energy hits me. But when I come out, I basically talk a little bit about the crazy, divisive, chaotic, confusing world that everybody's navigating, that ocean and that current. Then I answer some questions. Like 5 people will be randomly selected from, they'll sign up for the newsletter that night, and then we literally just randomly pick them because I feel like the universe knows that they have that question, and that's why they get picked. And then I'll launch into readings. I'll end with a couple of questions, and then I do an energetic exercise to close.
Okay, so you're going to pick me. Okay.
Basically,
Again, we do have security at these events. I just like to put that out there.
Remember, I'm going to be wearing the shirt that says, remember I told you I was going to be here?
Right? So I'm going to turn around on stage, and you're going to be sitting there waving at me and smiling.
I'm totally kidding. Look, thank you so much for coming. Danielle, is there anything you want to ask John before we let him go?
no, I think that John pretty much summed everything up for me.
You know how we know he's a professional? Because he came in and was like, look, bitch, anyway, I'm going to answer these questions and I'm going to talk and then I'm going to go home. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Okay, you guys, please stay tuned because we are going to give you the biggest conquest. I'm going to put out the obstacle course. You got to get these tickets to go see John Edward. You ain't going to go see my TV Bay if you ain't meeting the criteria, okay? So Danielle and I are going to think up some stuff and we're going to be like, do this, and then y'all going to do it, and then you might get tickets.
I have a question for you.
Go ahead.
What's up with Finland? I heard you give a shout out to Finland.
Okay, so I am obsessively obsessed with our statistics.
Okay.
And I go check them probably once every other day. I'm lying, once every day. Maybe every hour. Maybe every hour. Maybe every hour. I don't know. And I see people in Finland, UK, all over the world, like Africa, everywhere, South America. They're like, haha, between us girls. And I'm like, you know what? I need to show them some love. So I was like trying to sound Finnish, but I know I'm not. So.
I think that's really cool. Isn't it cool to know that you can literally get your message out there and people all around the world can kind of be inspired by what you're
Yes.
saying, or they could be healed by what you're saying, or you can entertain them and make them laugh and forget what's going on in their lives right now. That's pretty cool that you have that ability to have that reach. So thank you for having me on.
No, you're welcome. But
Aw.
like that's like you coming on and talking about your, intuitiveness. Like even though Danielle and I are not reading people, I feel like
Oh, I read people.
we do. But I'm saying like I feel like this podcast, like even though it started out as something small and we were just having fun and we just wanted to spend time together, I feel like our conversations are the same conversations that women and men are having all over the world, and I think it's really dope that we can reach them. So yeah,
That's
I
cool.
just got
So
mushy
I need to
on
follow you guys on social media. What's your social media?
We're at Between Us Girls. First of all, this is our interview. But also, at Between Us Girls podcast on Instagram, Between Us Girls on Facebook, and at Girl Talking Wine on Twitter. But yeah,
All
what's
right.
your social media? Shit, since you asking me.
At Psychic Medium JE.
Okay. Always the same because nobody is you. We have somebody that's trying to be us on
Twitter.
That's why we're
Yeah.
like at Girl Talking Wine.
Yeah, somebody took our handle on Twitter.
But they don't
Okay.
even make
Seriously?
episodes anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, they were out before us, but they don't make episodes anymore. I remember the day that we found out, we were like, whatever, just fuck it, just do it.
You should have been like, it's Between Us Girls 2.
Right, we could have.
No, because then people would be like, they ain't not the original. No, at Girl Talk and Wine. Girl Talk and Wine. I'm not supposed
Well,
to
again-
sing. I'm not supposed to sing, but I
She
feel it in
sings
my
almost
spirit.
every episode.
Why can't you sing?
Because Danielle's always like, shut up. You don't know when to stop.
Because that's why she doesn't. I tell her not to sing because she sings forever. That's why.
I love.
What's your favorite song to sing?
Pooh, I don't even know.
She don't have a favorite. She go ahead and sing the song you were singing earlier. Just
Okay.
go ahead and do it.
My heart is yearning for your love. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. My heart is yearning for you.
I wish you could see her face.
Let me inside your love.
Well, I just turned my chair around, if that means anything.
Whatever. Okay, one thing we didn't do because I was so excited is talk about what we're sipping on. Danielle, what is that?
This is a Rioja by Balsarano. It is a 2016.
That's not how you say it, but that's okay.
Balsarano.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, you want to?
I don't know. I'm just fucking with you.
It is a 2016 Rioja, and it's 13.5% alcohol.
Michelle Turner.
To me, it's basically like a Spanish Sauvignon Blanc.
Girl, exactly. Like, what is a Rioja?
It's good. I like it though. It's good.
Hey, if you're in South America and you know what that means, just tweet us and let us know because I have no idea.
Or in Spain.
Okay, well, don't get me started. Don't make me start talking about the Dominican Republic. Okay.
What? Stop.
Okay, so you didn't see that? Okay.
Let's just stop.
All right. Well, I'm getting the time tap. Okay, so I feel like I'm at the Oscars and they started playing the music. You know what, Naya? Bye. So, thanks for listening and follow us on social media. I already gave the social media. Girl Talking Wine on Twitter, Between Us Girls, the podcast, Between Us Girls podcast, everywhere else. Please be paying attention because you might win John Edward tickets. You want to be there because it could be your spirit. It could be your spirit that comes through. It might be your mama, might be your daddy, might be your grandma. I don't know.
Might be
Danielle?
somebody with a message.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us on Between Us Girls. But don't keep it a secret. Listen and share with everyone you know. See you next week.